Views and content expressed in the following program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the following program.
Hello and welcome to Political Talk. This is our fourth show, and I'm here with my partner, Todd Schleiger. And today we have a new moderator who's going to join. This is John DeSantos, Michigan resident.
Yes, sir.
And he's going to take over and not only moderate, but hopefully referee too. But you never can tell. Again, there's no cue cards, idiot boards, or just ad-lib conversation. Today we're going to talk about trust in government and trust in our politicians and how that affects each one of us. So would you like to, well, first let's hear from John.
Well, first of all, I've heard you say for years, politics is for the people. I don't understand exactly what you mean by that. It's such a vague term. What do you mean when you say we're for the people?
Or we should be.
We should be for the people, exactly.
Okay, when, as we discussed last week, where you weren't here, we have what we call representative government. And the way it was set up, that the people had a voice. Now, of course, for example, with the state rep position, 85,000 people can't go up to Lansing. They don't have enough chairs. So what we do is we elect someone who is to represent the people of the district.
Okay.
Okay, that is what it was set to be. Also, our government was not set up to be a monarchy or imperial, or the representative worked for the people.
Well,
Okay.
a lot of these representatives have seemed to have forgotten that because they don't want to pay attention to what the people are actually saying to them. You know, they may hear the people when they every once in a while come down and appear, but they're not really listening. And that's where I would like to go with that.
It goes further than that, because the representative is supposed to bring
I love this one, Dave. Me and him
honest,
go in there.
actual information. It's not supposed to be biased.
Right.
Because a lie, if you want to call it that, or a half-truth, or
More
a spin,
misleading.
or misleading, you can call it whatever you want. But if you don't tell the people exactly what's going on and let them make the decision for themselves, then basically you're steering them into a direction you want them to go.
But that's what they're doing.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying.
Oh,
and this
okay.
is why the trust in government is so bad, because now in city government, for an example, in Lake Orion and Troy and some of those places, you see these people every day. Okay, they're in and around the area.
They live in your community generally.
Exactly, and Lake Orion is big, but it's not that big. Now, the state government...
Oh, no, wait. It may not be that big. Have you seen Jim Marlowe lately?
Oh, now, wait a minute, Jim Marlowe is state.
He
Chris
still lives in our community.
True, but...
Brad Jacobson, you'd be lucky if you see him at his own florist.
Well, actually, that was the problem. We always saw him at the florist.
Not doing the work.
Yeah, when he went up to Lansing, basically he did what he was told. The two people up there that ran it was Arlen Meekoff. But the problem with Arlen Meekoff, he is supposed to organize that body of the Senate. And Mr. Cotter...
he's more like the helm of a ship, is what he was.
He's more like a dictator.
A demigod dictator.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
No.
But he purposely steered the Republican Party in Michigan towards some other purpose that I couldn't even figure out. It surely wasn't what the people were wanting.
Well, the problem is, okay, even though we had a state rep, Arlen Meekoff was directing what people were going to get and not going to get.
Isn't that what both parties do?
Okay.
They do that. They separate. If you like the color green and you like the color yellow, you're no longer allowed to like the color green because you're a yellow guy.
Okay, now...
But together we make blue.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is here, sir, 1 second, is what I was going to ask him a moment ago is, let's say you're in a position to change that philosophy? What would you do to change that philosophy? How do you manifest bringing the government back to the people? How do you manifest that?
If I was in that position,
If you were in that position right now,
oh, to me, that'd be simple. I'd be out talking to the people. I'd be finding out what their concerns are, not what the party's concerns are.
how do you do that in a statewide
We'll see.
canvas?
Well, no matter what you do, if you're in a position where you're trying to convince the people that you're doing their work, you have to work with those representatives, whether they're Republican, Independents, or Democrats. You're going to talk to them and see where their mind is at, and for the state and for their districts.
Okay.
But then, if it was me, and I would be out there talking to their districts as well, because I want to see that they're actually representing their districts. I mean, you can have the same issue for the entire state, but certain districts need something a little different. And if you don't go out there and talk to those districts individually, and I know there's a lot of districts, there's 83 counties in Michigan.
And
But
you have
if you're going to be
infinite
a
number of districts,
representative,
yeah.
no matter what position of a representative you are, whether you're local or state, you better dang well know what's going on in your district. And the perfect example of a failure at this, and I hate to bring this up again because we brought it up numerous times, is the Flint water crisis. How can governor of the state of Michigan, Rick Snyder, say he didn't know about Flint's, the water crisis, for over a year? He's the governor of the state. He should know what any major situation is going on in our state.
Okay. With that said, how do you make this clear, see-through? As somebody who understands government as deeply as you do, how do you make their transparency of the whole thing work and yet not create almost like a helter-skelter attitude in this state? Because there are some things that have to be considered confidential and classified to bring it down, but yet you still need to know what's going on. How do you do that? How do you walk that line between those two thoughts, the classified and the transparency?
First of all, you got to be down in your district. If you know the people and your particular area, and in this area, and I can speak firsthand on this, when I said I was running, I did not take money. I was heavily criticized for that, and maybe it was stupid. However, those who did take money based their votes on who kept them and who got them into office. They based their vote, and this is Democrat and Republican, so I'm not picking on one. Okay, so they bypassed the people. I have the position, now I want to hold it. And in order to hold it, you need money. Now,
But the question I have is,
okay,
hold
now,
on.
let me finish. So then I said, when I was down in the district, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I will bring you accurate, honest information. You will give me feedback. Now, I will stand in front of you with nothing to hide, because as long as I'm telling you the truth, you may not like it, but at least now you can make an informed decision. My job is to listen. My job is also to question. Okay, for example, with the school situation, we want vouchers. Okay, do you really?
You know, before you say
no,
we
no.
want vouchers,
I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying, do you really understand the voucher system? The majority of people did not understand it, and I explained it. Now it's gone even further than what I explained at that time. That was during the campaign. But the thing was, the majority of what I said, they had not a clue. But they based their information on little snippets and false
that is a
information.
bad thing that's going on in
I
politics
refuse
right
to
now.
do that. Now, for me, my goal was to cast, and listen close.
Not going to miss a word.
Well, you can't, because you're sitting right. Am I right? And I'm not going to let him miss a word. But my job was to cast one vote on behalf of the district only. And if each representative cast their ballot on behalf of their district, not who gave them what money, not the people who had the influence, not the party, the people in the district. Why? Because the people in the district will have to live with it and pay for it. Now, for example, you brought up the Flint crisis.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes, you
where
did.
More and more money is going in. Now they're starting to say, oh, well, wait a minute, maybe they don't need that money. Well, guess what else is coming up that they haven't thought about? The lawsuits have not yet been filed. And when they
Now wait, some have been filed.
Some.
But the big class action ones, they haven't even touched the water
Now,
yet.
Who is going
And
to...
I don't mean that literally.
Who is going to pay for that? The people of the state. Because
Everybody.
These people...
It's our money that's going to pay for their money.
Exactly. So this is coming out of your pocket. So when I said that your government officials, whatever they do, you got to live with it and you got to pay for it. And you are going to pay. This state is going to pay dearly. And I'll give Jeffrey Feiger credit for one statement that he made.
I can't stand him. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But this, I mean, every once in a while, something intelligent comes out.
Yeah, it tumbles out
This
once in a while.
statement is, who right now would want to live in Flint?
I would. And I can say that honestly. I grew up there.
I've got family
I love
there.
that town.
And they don't want to move.
I love Flint too.
But I mean, I live in Lake Orion now. But I have no choice. The wife says
But
I
the
have to
point
stay
is-
here.
Throughout the country, Flint and that whole thing became a national disgrace.
It's been a pariah. They
But-
turned it
but
into a pariah.
Also, if you take it like this too, is there was a manipulation of the politicians to turn it into a pariah. There are more than one Flint in the United States. The problem is, Flint was the first one that got noticed, and it was the first one that was kept on the QT. It was kept away from the folks, the hidden truth. Now, cities like Dearborn have been changing their pipes out for almost 25 years.
They've been staying ahead of the curve.
And that's just it, is the money's been going back into the infrastructure in towns like that. I don't know what it is up in this area. I'm from the southwest of the Detroit area. The problem is now that we all know what happened to Flint, people are scrambling to get their infrastructure fixed.
Well, you got that big issue with the sinkhole in Fraser right now. You know, back in I believe it was 2003, they had a sinkhole form. They repaired it. But the funny thing is, they didn't repair it right, because where they bypassed it to fix the sinkhole from 2003, right at the end of the bypass is where the new sinkhole is.
Also, there's a car dealership in Novi. It was an old Jaguar dealership that's actually sinking into the ground right now.
In Novi.
In Novi.
Okay.
And they can't figure out how to stop it. The dealership has moved out, but the building is still there, and you can actually see the walkway starting to come down. That's going to be an issue. But yet, it's always react rather than be proactive. If you had the opportunity to be proactive, what would you do to gain public trust in situations like this? That will not be a reactive situation where all of a sudden we're all panicking, sky is falling.
Okay, number one, the party system has
broken.
had become adversarial. We are slowly imploding on one another through fear instead of reason.
This is no longer a north and south situation. It's right and left. And that's what it is. It's a civil war amongst the two. And I'm going to say this before you go any further. The two-party system is much like a child's security blanket. We've outgrown it, but yet we don't want to get rid of it.
Well, also, we keep putting people in that we know are not trustworthy.
Yeah, but
And
that's
yet-
back to the same parties hand-picking each other like they Oakland County done here.
This puppeteer does this puppeteer does this, and we're going to
there's a lot of
follow
truth to
those
that,
two puppeteers.
But I didn't do that.
I know you didn't.
It's
You're
not
one of the
you.
politicians.
No, and I know it isn't me. But the thing was, the reason I bring up me is because I did it the way it was supposed to be done. And when I campaigned, people said, yes, that's the way it's supposed to be done. Yet they voted for the same person.
Thank you.
Saved myself on that one.
Yeah, nicely done. But it's like a pair of shoes. You may have a closet full of shoes. You still go to the most comfortable pair that you wear every day.
We sit now.
And
need to
that
change-
doesn't make them right, doesn't make them wrong. It just makes them comfortable.
We sit now in front of the TV, and we watch politicians, whether it be state or federal. And federal, I know you want to stay away from, but I'm going to throw it in there anyway. We have people bold-faced lie. Now, it was one thing when it was spin, and stretching the truth.
Let's put it this way first. I don't mean to cut you off on this.
Yeah, you do.
But you're right. They are lying. But before it was behind the scenes, they didn't want us to know they were lying. But now they've gotten so confident, they're just coming right out and doing it to our face.
Todd, also one other thing too, is once upon a time there were 3 stations to get news from. You had ABC, NBC, and CBS, and that was it. In this day and age, you've got 45 to 60 different, and they're all attacking the same mound of dirt, and they have to try to find different ways to report on that mound of dirt. So you're getting more lies out there, but there's still the same lies they were 40 years ago. The difference is we've got more different directions, and the politicians are still lying to us. The difference is we've got different kinds of credibility.
Not to the degree of what's happening now. I mean, what's happening now is just outrageous. I'll say a couple things. 2 things that have come into vogue now. 1, facts don't mean anything.
Never have.
That's amazing. Facts don't mean a thing.
They never have.
Okay.
Alternative facts. There you go.
That was my second one. That one,
I'm sorry.
I fully expect to see in the Webster's Dictionary. I mean, Kellyanne Conway, I have nothing nice to say about her, but I will give her all the credit in the world for alternative facts. That one, I had to listen to
I will
over and over.
also give her
loved
credit,
it.
whether you
I
like it
loved
or
it.
not, I'll give her credit for getting him elected. Because I want real change in Michigan as well as the nation, but how they got him elected, I honestly don't know.
Well,
but he's elected, so now we got to move on.
Every time you watched either one of them talk, you had to go and shower because you just felt dirty.
Yes.
You just felt filthy because you're like, am I really a part of this?
You know what I heard today is now allegedly WikiLeaks is coming out with the new CIA terrorism counter program where now this has been on before because I recorded it off Channel 7.
So it's real.
Yeah. Your TV is watching you.
hope.
Yeah. Your TV is watching you. There's certain ones, TVs out there, LG is one of them, that actually is watching you, and in the back of the book, you can turn it off. And smartphones.
Wait a minute. If my LG's TV's watching me, I have some shows for you. I'm just kidding.
But
My point
you
is,
know what? We can all go through the paranoia thing. I mean, we've been watched by our government since,
Time has kept record.
paper and pencil were available.
no, my point to it is that my wife and I will sit and watch TV, and we hear this stuff and just shake our heads like, you can't be serious in what you're saying and what you're doing, and yet we accept it, and we don't hold any of them accountable. We do not have. And I'm asking everyone out there to think, can you think of a politician that you trust, that knows the difference between right and wrong? Is there someone out there, and I'm not saying this for Democrat or Republican, because at this point it doesn't really matter. It's so broken.
I'll give them this. I'm going to say 90%, 95% of them are well educated.
That's what we think.
I'm giving them credit, okay?
Let me ask you
You're
this,
very
gentlemen.
generous.
Gentlemen, both of you. What is the #1 profession of most politicians?
Lawyers.
Lawyers. How to manipulate the law, how to change the law.
We talked about this last week.
The only time that they have to tell the truth is when they put the hand on the good book and say, I swear. Before that, it doesn't matter what they tell you. It is not a binding statement.
And I still don't believe half of them tell the truth when their hand is on
Why
the
would
good
they?
No, well, God strike him down because he knows phony.
Oh, yeah, well, by the time we wait for God to strike them down, we're going to lose our state, we're going to lose our government.
I don't want to wait that long.
Yeah, well, at your age, I understand.
The sad part is that our level of trust is so bad, and people should be scared.
Well, then, let's go back to the original question. How do we restore it? What do we need to do to give confidence back to the voters, back to the people in our neighborhood,
Okay.
back to our neighbors, back to our kids, back to our parents?
Voters, when you vote, talk to these candidates. When I went up to people, I stood in front of them face to face, whereas others sent the cards, and I told you about the cards, the ones I put up underneath the dogs. Those cards are really useful. They keep the mess off the floor. But, what's really nice is after the dogs are done with it, I can't tell the difference between what's written on there and what's been laid on there. It's all the same thing. But
Different stench.
Yeah. But the thing is, you also, as a voter, have to understand these people work for you. Now, we brought up Mike Bishop last week. I called Mike Bishop's office.
Again.
And they told me, that was a mistake. He's done these town hall conferences, and they're trying to give me all this rhetoric as to why he does this. And the truth of the matter is, Mike Bishop does not want to go out in front of the people. He's seen what happened. You saw what happened with Lindsey Graham this week. They went after him.
Yes, they did.
And the thing is, people don't trust him, and they're trying to justify everything they say.
Our politicians shouldn't be afraid to come out in front of the people.
If something is wrong, it's wrong.
It needs to be
And
fixed.
our mistake is we assume, and I still think we have these
Circle it.
assumptions.
Circle it.
Yeah.
Circle it.
Yeah, and I hate to, I don't want to spell assume because we all know
Yeah,
where I'm going.
that's why we're
with
circling
that.
it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We have the assumption that if you're a lawyer, you're honest. If you know the law. If you are rich, you must be smart. If you are a sports star, you must. And the truth of the matter
we are
is,
friends, right?
the truth of the
Millionaires.
matter is, there are some people out there on the street that are brilliant,
I'll give you that one, yes.
and that we look at these people and we try to justify what they're there for. And the truth is, they're not. And we refuse, he's a Republican, he's got my back. Well, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of those Republicans and a lot of those Democrats wouldn't give you the time of day.
Yeah.
And this we find out now.
In the last 12 years, I've switched more to voting for independents than I have the two-party system. The two-party system, like you said earlier,
It's
broken.
broken.
But on your last comment about lawyers being,
We assume.
I'm going to put it this way. I'm not going to assume anything with lawyers or judges, for that matter. Here's the reason. Because they are master manipulators of the law. Again, the majority of the people that are in elected office, especially in Washington, D.C., are lawyers. Now, granted, at state levels, you have fewer numbers of the lawyers because they're all working in Washington, D.C. And if you think I'm kidding, check the numbers. Out of those 435 state or congressional elected officials over there, I'll guarantee you 350 of them are lawyers.
What I can't see right now in Lansing or in Washington, if these are the learned men that we think they are, and they get on TV and talk trash and talk stupid, and we sit there and watch them.
I don't want to go stupid.
Stupid. I mean, stupid came into vogue in the last year.
Let me ask you
Okay,
this.
but-
Dave, 1 second, before you go any further. You use the word stupid. What kind of person wants the job of president other than an egomaniac? Look at her, look at him. The smart people don't want to be in that spotlight. They want to be behind the scenes and giving their opinions rather than being out front showing their
Circles.
There have been presidents as well as governors who have in their cabinet people smarter than them.
and that's what makes them good presidents and good
because they are
governors.
willing to listen. They are willing to discuss. We can sit down, the three of us, and take an issue and discuss it for an hour and come up with better ideas than the entire body up in Lansing.
Can we start now?
We ain't got the time. My point is that these are the people that are supposed to be working on our behalf. Okay, you're in the chambers, you are talking, you are supposed to be coming up with good ideas, but instead you come up with sound bites. You come up with, they're doing this and they're doing that. Even issues like abortion is way out of whack. You know, it's way out to here.
Well, here's the
Somewhere in
problem.
here's the truth. Same thing with gun control.
Dr. Dave, hold on a moment. Here's the biggest problem to that too, is I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you $1 billion for your school funding. But on that bill, I'm going to take away rights of seniors. And I didn't mean to point at you. I understand that's twice now.
I am old.
But the thing is now if I vote for the $1 billion, now I voted against the seniors.
And we have
that's
talked
why
about
a line item veto is the
necessary.
most responsible way to run
Yes.
a government in this day and age.
Yes or no,
Before
right or
anybody
wrong,
gets carried away,
good or bad.
Okay. Before anybody gets carried away, I have to let you all know one thing. You might have heard Dave and I talk about this. Dave's a Democrat. I'm an independent. And now that we brought John aboard, this is the other real kick in the pants. John's a Republican.
I are.
Now, before we go on, those affiliations are for what the parties are supposed to be. The reason
Once upon a time.
we can talk is because we don't take the party as absolute. For a Democrat, it was supposed to be rich and poor and everyone in between. For an independent, it was supposed to be look at the situation from all points of view and come up with the best plan. And for the Republicans, what is their mantra?
Just to apologize to you. Obviously, that's the way it had to be. No. Our mantra was, it was to take away the big government and funnel it down into the states and let the states handle it. And that's the impression that I got originally.
And in truth, Democrats are not always wrong. Republicans are not always wrong. But if they share ideas,
I didn't get no accolades in there.
and then the independent comes in and kind
And
of
takes
bridges
from everything.
bridges the whole thing. If we were to do that on an intelligent basis, we're going somewhere. And right now we have to go somewhere because our time is up. So again, we're going to do another show. This may be a continuation of this. It depends on what happens off camera. But
I
next
think we
time,
should talk about
John,
taxes.
John, well, okay, here we go. So
Yeah.
if you turn in.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
I
I
appreciate you being here.
appreciated you
pleasure
being
to
here.
have you on. Yeah,
Dave?
Yeah.
Views and content expressed in the previous program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the previous program.